So the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase just wrapped up. It went on for almost 27 minutes, and they did announce a bunch of games here, about 25 or so from my count, and I just kind of wanted to go over my overarching thoughts for this event, as there were some interesting decisions, I'll say, made by Nintendo in here, even with the format, but also one specific showing that I'm still scratching my head when it comes to Nintendo over some of this stuff. We'll go over that here today. If you guys enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We're going to jump over today to this video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Satisfy. The Switch 2 is out now, and while it's a fun all-around hybrid system, the ergonomics in handheld mode could use some help. Zen Grip 2 from Satisfy is a great fit for the Switch 2, adding an evolved ergonomic experience, working to compensate for the low position of the right stick for better comfort and less fatigue. The Zen Grip 2 is created to perfectly fit around the Switch 2, allowing for proper airflow and access to all USB ports located on the system. The unique free float design works to protect against scratches, and the entire grip is fully dockable, which means you don't have to remove it every time you want to play on your TV going from handheld mode to docked mode. The rubberized back grips provide added comfort, and there's even a slot on each side to store a game card while you're on the go. I've been using a Satisfy grip since they broke onto the scene during the Switch 1 generation, and I'm excited to move into the Switch 2 generation with them right from the start. Click the link in the description below and use code SpawnWave to get 15% off a Zen 2 grip today. That's code SpawnWave for 15% off. Thanks to Satisfy for sponsoring today's video. So yeah, shout out to Satisfy for supporting the channel there. But again, as I was going through this presentation, I did realize Nintendo is trying to figure out this cross-gen period for really like this scale for just about the first time with these online presentations. So when I think about it that way, and then I go, oh yeah, they have to figure out ways to show us if it's Switch or Switch 2. They just came up with the basic idea of let's just show you logos on the side. But I will say, as we're going along and some of these games are being thrown up on screen for all of 10 seconds at a time, I mean, it became almost a jumbled mess there. Stuff was just flying on screen. You're like, okay, is that Switch 1 or Switch 2? Okay, on to the next one. So that now I have to go back and double check some of this stuff before Newswave tomorrow when I go over everything line by line. I don't necessarily want to say, oh, Switch 1, Switch 2, Switch 1, Switch 2, but anything that is somewhat surprising that is also maybe on Switch 1, while everything here you can play on your Switch 2 through backwards compatible minimum. There were a couple of games that stood out that I was like, oh, okay, that's also on the Switch 1. Like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I thought that was going to be just a Switch 2 game. No, it's also on Switch 1. Anyway, again, some of the stuff that I picked out here, they did open, I think, on a strong note. Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflections. That's in 2026. It is Switch 2. But when that popped up with Capcom, I was like, okay, they get one of their big partners out in front with a big release. Monster Hunter Stories, it's just Monster Hunter in general. This is a popular franchise series. But Monster Hunter Stories 3, just showing that they're going to continue on with that after Monster Hunter Stories 2, which, to my understanding, sold well. And I feel like that's going to be one of the highlights for a lot of people with this presentation, which, again, we'll come back to my overarching thoughts on the whole thing. Although we did have a new Katamari, Once Upon a Katamari. That's October 24th, 2025. So just in 2.5 months or so here. So Katamari fans probably shocked that, hey, there's a new one coming up, but also probably pleasantly surprised. Pac-Man World 2 Repack has local co-op September 26th. So that is once again in like almost 2 months. And I mean, it's interesting to see them continue on with this Pac-Man push. We just had the Shadow Labyrinth game, which is kind of that weird take on Pac-Man. Here comes Pac-Man World 2 Repack after the first one got its sort of remake treatment. So I do like seeing them just continue on with it. It's interesting to see Pac-Man still rolling there. But the game that I'm really confused about here. So they started the show, and I was listening to what they were saying. Okay, they're going to show us games from partner publishers. I said, okay, yeah, that's what they said. And partner developers. I said, hold on a minute. They didn't tell us that before. So I thought immediately, oh, we are going to hear about a game that's being published by Nintendo, which we did. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. As soon as they started showing it, I went, okay, here we go. We're getting the release date. The big talking point right now, and with good reason to me, is that Nintendo has these games floating around, these first-party games, and that's what a lot of people do buy Nintendo hardware for, are those first-party games. They have 3 of them: Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, that are apparently coming out this year, but we're about to be in August, and they're not dated. And it's one thing if we were in January or February and they're not dated, and we go, well, okay, they got plenty of time. I mean, they could be a direct over the summer, a big direct, and they start dropping dates. No, tomorrow's August. So we know Pokemon's in October, and we almost assume that kind of eliminates most of a month, if not all of it. They're trying to space out releases. So when they go through this trailer, I'm expecting that release date. Instead, they hit us with this winter. And people say I don't need to explain this. I saw in the comments, you don't have to tell me that it doesn't mean this winter doesn't mean 2025, technically. You know, that's something that people tend to forget. This could be first quarter of 2026. And when they said this winter, that's immediately what I thought. I was like, okay, maybe this is the game that slips into next year, because that's the biggest thought now and concern, is that some of these games that we were thinking are 2025 from Nintendo do slip in the 2026. And it kind of feels like Hyrule Warriors might be the leading candidate at this time for that. So very strange they didn't have a release date or anything. They just kind of reminded us that it exists. And I mean, it didn't really need a reminder on that one. So Chronos: The New Dawn, though, this is September 5th. And it was the big release date reveal, to my understanding. And I've seen this here and there. I mean, it looks interesting. I guess kind of a third person, almost action horror style game, but it has time traveling kind of elements to it. But this was the release date reveal just outright for all platforms. Okay. And this is something I think we'll see more and more of now with the Switch 2 generation starting up. We're going to see big third party games at events like these, or big general directs, just get outright revealed in terms of their release date. Whereas before, they might not have even shown up on a Nintendo's system with the Switch 1. Now they'll not only show up, but I think they'll also just give us big news like a release date that you'll then read about later on, say on PlayStation Blog or on Xbox Wire for the other platforms. I was a little surprised that Ubisoft didn't show up more here. They just had Star Wars Outlaws, just again reminded us that it exists. I guess we got new footage of it running as well that Digital Foundry will probably have a field day with, but that's coming out September 4th, so we're not too far off from it. Ubisoft seems to think that the Switch 2 is going to revitalize this game. I mean, it's just not a very enticing or interesting game. That's it. So I don't know if anything can revive that game at all, but they're going to take a shot at it the first week of September. So sure. I thought Ubisoft would have been here with an Assassin's Creed Shadows or something like that. But no, just, hey, your Star Wars Outlaws. Hopefully this helps somehow with this game. And the closeout for this event, I think it's the right company. And I do like what they showed, which they started with The Adventures of Elliot the Millennium Tales. It's a new action RPG in the HD 2D style, and it's coming out next year. There's a demo that is going live today. And I guess if I'm going through this show, this is one of the standouts for me, because I like that they are not only continuing with HD 2D, I like that they're trying new things. So we had Triangle Strategy, which wasn't that necessarily that turn-based style, right? They went to the strategy RPG. So now they're doing an action RPG, kind of like Secret of Mana or something, where you're running around the map and you're fighting stuff. And I like that they are experimenting with this HD 2D style. And I also like that they're continuing to gather feedback ahead of release. So they're putting this demo out today. I am intrigued to check this thing out right on the Switch 2, to see it natively, on the TV or then in handheld mode. But they're also going to collect feedback through a survey, which they've done before with their Octopath games. And I think it has worked out very, very well for them. That's a good strategy. So to me, this might be the highlight. I'm trying to look over. This might be it right here with Square Enix and The Adventures of Elliot the Millennium Tales. Just seeing HD 2D kind of try something new, I think it's kind of cool. And the real closeout was Octopath Traveler 0. And the only reason I think this is the closeout over The Adventures of Elliot the Millennium Tales is just the notoriety for the brand at this time with Octopath Traveler. Like city builder elements where you're trying to build up the city and kind of the community. And that's just December 4th, 2025. Also coming to the Switch 1. So the overall presentation, I don't think had anything hard hitting. And because of that, it's going to be one of those more forgettable showcase. I mean, partner showcases for a lot of people, I'm sure, unless there's some shock. Like if we're going through here and Sony was like, here's Horizon Zero Dawn somewhere in there would be a shock and people would look at that and be like, wow, that was a pretty big reveal. Here, it doesn't necessarily have that. So while they could have done maybe something else with another partner developer and get one of their first party IPs involved, it's an event that I think a lot of people are going to go, I mean, there's some more Switch 2 games, I guess. Okay. And that's kind of it. When's the next General Direct? That's what we'll hear, right? And that, as I mentioned in Newswave earlier this morning, thinking September to go along with Tokyo Game Show. So if you missed Newswave this morning, go check that out as I kind of go over maybe Nintendo's strategy going forward here over the next month or two, because they got some work to do if the big three that they're saying, those the Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment are coming out this year. I feel like they got to start talking eventually, and they may have other means outside of just a direct. But let me know what you guys thought about this direct down below in the comments. As well, I do like the announcements with something like HD2D trying a new style. It didn't really have anything overwhelming, and for me, it was just kind of like, somewhere just sort of lukewarm in the middle. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.